Moin Moin und herzlich willkommen zu einer neuen Folge von MACianer TV. Der neue Mac Pro kommt im Herbst und wir haben bei den Herstellern nachgefragt, welches Zubehör sie speziell für den neuen Mac Pro herstellen. In dieser Folge geht es um den Videohersteller AJA. Mein Kollege Klaus Preuschhof hat mit Bryce Button gesprochen und was er gesagt hat und was er uns vielleicht schon verraten darf, das erfahrt ihr in diesem Video nach dem Intro.
Hello, people looking at the MACianer podcast here in Germany. We are still thinking about the new Mac Pro looking around the corner. And today I have an old friend of mine here on the line, Bryce Button. Bryce, would you introduce yourself a little bit?
Absolutely. My name is Bryce Button. I'm the Director of Product Marketing here at AJA Video Systems. I've known Klaus for a lovely long while now, which is awesome. In terms of fun, he was asking me about that earlier. I like to play around on a bass with my mates in a band. In terms of work, it's a nice big selection of stuff I get to do because we get to basically bring to market all our exciting new products, including Thunderbolt 3 products or the Kona 5 and these kind of products that would work with what we're going to be talking about today, which is the new Mac Pro.
So I think you've seen much more of the new Mac Pro than we have here in Germany. So what is the view that you and the AJA people have on the new Mac Pro, Bryce?
So of course, we're sworn to secrecy and death by a million cuts if we say too much. But what I can share is, of course, AJA has worked with Apple for a very long time now on a pretty close basis. When the first ProRes recorders came out with the Key Pro, that was a project undertaken by both our teams. We are indeed working with them on the new machine at the moment in the sense of making sure that our equipment will work successfully with it because this new Mac Pro has a ton of power, right? Up to 28 cores, up to 1.5 terabytes of memory. I think what's exciting for all professionals that have enjoyed working on the Mac is that we finally have a system again whereby there are so many PCI 3.0 slots that you can really plug in these extension cards, which of course AJA has been well known for making for a long time.
So, Bryce, looking at Apple's presentation, in one of the backdrops, we indeed saw some cards that Apple really presented on their own presentation, and one of that was an AJA card, I think. So, which one was that?
It's the Kona 5, and the Kona 5 is our latest generation of I/O card. And for those not too familiar with it, what I can point out here is it's a card that's about bandwidth and power and high frame rates and high raster. So that means we basically produced a card that allows for raster sizes all the way up to 8K. And so with that, the other secondary thing that's great about it is it has 4 what we call bidirectional SDI ports. So what that means is the port could either be in or out, depending what you're doing with the application. So there's 4 of those. And 12G SDI means a single cable could carry 4K. And then, of course, if you need to work with really professional equipment, you would be utilizing those ports for the 8K work, right? So it's much like 4K was to HD, where you quadruple your connections and so on to drive the really high-end professional displays. So yeah, it's a behemoth in terms of its capabilities there.
So could we say this is the Ferrari of video editing cards? Is that true?
Certainly on our end, we believe so.
Yes.
But yeah, it's a well-designed card. It's a PCI 3.0 card, which the slots on the new Mac Pro are PCI 3.0. The card itself is 8-channel. The new Mac Pros will have both 8 and 16 channel slots. But I think another great thing about the way Apple's gone about designing their new machine here is they've wisely chosen to create a whole new type of card, right? So, of course, they have the Radeon Pro AMD cards in terms of pure graphics.
Right.
But when it comes to ProRes support work, they got this great new thing called the Afterburner card.
Right, the Afterburner, yeah.
And so what's exciting, I think, about the Afterburner is traditionally that kind of work has had to tax something else in your system, whether it's been CPUs or graphics cards. So by utilizing this new card that's dedicated to that particular task, it's going to allow for a ton of basically real-time interaction, right? So the real-time interaction for your timelines there, basically any app that's supporting ProRes, is going to make a massive difference, which is, if anyone's seen the Apple demonstrations of playing multiple channels of 4K or even a few channels of 8K, it's tied to the decoding and encoding that card is doing. And then, of course, when it comes to getting stuff in and out of the box in real time, that's where a company like AJA steps in, right? Because AJA makes bridging products, and we try to get you from point A to point B. And that's the purpose of a card like a Kona card.
So it sounds a little bit like the 600 horsepower Kona 5. You can bolt the turbo from Apple to this card and make it even more powerful. Am I right with this?
Yeah, that's basically what's going on, right? Is you would
Sounds good to me.
utilize, yes, all the connectivity inside the unit that the Afterburner provides, because it's connected through the slots internally to move all the communication around, and then it's our job to take that and put that into baseband video,
Right.
so that you can actually drive it elsewhere, or what will be more and more common in the coming year to two is more 12G SDI cameras on the market, and you need to capture footage. Maybe you're putting it back out to a recorder down the road, so that you can capture your live timelines for playback elsewhere, etc. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of utility between our product and the new Mac Pro.
Bryce, you already touched questions that I had in the pipeline, like 8K stuff, like the Afterburner. So we put check marks after all these topics. There's a last one that we didn't touch so far. This is, we have these migration to IP video in the broadcast area and the high-end broadcast area. I know AJA has products there. When we look at the big picture, where do you see AJA, IP, and the Mac Pro sit here together in this picture?
I think they can all be combined, right? The new Mac Pro itself has a couple of 10 gigabit ports. We've made 10 gigabit ports for video for a while, in the sense of having both the Thunderbolt 3 solution, which is our IO IP, and the Kona IP card, right? Which again, you can put it into the system and have even more channels.
Yeah.
So the key thing going forward there is the integration between the IP connectivity and the applications you're working with.
Yeah.
So where AJA has excelled there is we've obviously been a fundamental partner in terms of the original introduction of the AIMS organization, working with others to make sure that IP-based equipment can interoperate. And so the key to all of that is our control panel software.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, and what that allows us to do is the engineers have spent a lot of time going to places like Germany, in fact, where a lot of the testing occurs, to make sure that the discovery and recognition of other equipment that is IP capable happens. And the other secret to our drivers here is we don't want to make IP difficult for creatives. In other words, if you've been editing for a long time, or you're doing graphics work or color work or whatever it might be, What you care about is working on the video and then having it come and go wherever it needs to, right? And you don't want to get bogged down. So we made sure that the drivers, in terms of the way the applications interoperate, make it as seamless as if you were working with normal baseband video. And I think, in terms of us and Apple and any other company that's trying to address this transition to IP, what you're wanting to do is not have creatives get lost in all the technical complexity that might scare them, because they don't view themselves as IP people, IT departments, right? So the point there is that we've tried to make an interface with the software here so that it's really seamless. Put in your initial addresses, it'll announce itself on the network. You can connect into the subnets you need to. And once you've done that, it's pretty much forget it and go. Just keep working like you always did.
So I could start, for example, Final Cut 10 on the new Mac Pro, and I could use the IP, and there's just a new pipe in the heating system, but I just turn up the heating and there I am. I don't have to be a plumber or anything. You made it quite easy for me to get into the IT world.
Yes, we're trying to make it more like air conditioning, so we cool you down.
Yeah, right. So Bryce, thank you for all that. So I think we covered the main points. We have the Ferrari, we have the turbo, we have the big new cheese grating machine where we can put it all in, and we have some pipes into the outside world. So I'm really waiting for getting a grip on the machine myself, which maybe you already did. So the last thing I have to say, another one of your fabulous products, the KeyPro Go, is used to record all this stuff. So you did good work on this, all AJA people. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Always lovely to talk to you, Klaus.
Have a good day. And
thank you, sir. See you in a couple of weeks.
In Amsterdam.
Yes. Looking forward to canals.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.